Good evening all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to talk about two things that have happened today that have really fired me up, put the hackles up on the back of my neck and made me quite mad, to be honest, and that doesn't happen often. The first one, you may have seen the videos online of the Conservative MP Jacob Rees-Mogg outside his home where his wife and children were harassed by left-wing campaigners. Now, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what you think of somebody in the political arena. Leave the families out of it. If you've got something to say to somebody, say it to their face. Debate them. If you don't agree with their point, have it out in a civilised manner and discuss it. But this is something we've seen from the regressive left quite often. And it got me thinking, and I looked back on some of the videos I've got stored, and it's not the first time this has happened to Jacob Rees-Mogg, and I'm not a conservative. My leanings are well known. I'm more of a kipper, but he was also harassed doing a university speech not so long ago, and he was hounded and he was harassed, and he was fair play to him. He stood up and he's very polite, and I saw that, and I saw what's gone on today, and then I found an old video. And you can turn around and say these are thugs, and yes they are, and they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but there's a video which I will put up in the link to this YouTube video that I'm doing now where John McDonnell, the Labour Shadow Chancellor, the number 2 to Jeremy Corbyn, has said that Tory MPs should be hounded throughout the country and not given any peace. Now, I'm sorry, how's that democracy? If John McDonnell's got a problem with them, he should stand up in the House and debate it. But of course, with John McDonnell, as I found out myself, he's not particularly good in open forums at standing up and discussing and debating with people, and I'll give you the reasons why. In 2015, when I stood against him in the general election, there was one hustings organised in Hayes, and it was done at St Anselm's Church by the Interfaith Society. The chairman is David Brough, was an old friend of John McDonnell. We were told the rules are any questions coming in have to come in on a piece of paper and has to go through the chair, and the chair will ask the question. There will be no questions from the floor, and there will be no cross debate between the candidates on stage. So basically, it comes in, he can say what he wants, we're not allowed to challenge it. Also in 2015, they organised a debate on Hayes FM, our local radio station, and I only found out about it the day afterwards, and there was a big Twitter storm on it. John McDonnell blocked me after it and said that I hadn't replied. The reality was that they'd sent the invite to the wrong email address. Although it was funny when it kicked off and the Representation of the People's Act was mentioned, that I got an email to the correct address within 30 minutes, and I was invited to debate that night on the station. Although John McDonnell didn't debate, I was just put up against the Lib Dem, which was a little bit cruel, really. It's like throwing raw meat to a raging wolf. And I'm not blaming the radio station for it. I said at the time, it's an easy thing to do. They sent it to the wrong email address, but it's funny that they got the right email address afterwards and he didn't have to debate me. Then we came to the 2016 EU referendum, actually. I challenged face-to-face John McDonnell to a debate in front of his constituents, and I said it wouldn't necessarily be me because I'm nobody. I'll get somebody from the Leave campaign. He ran away, wouldn't debate, said he was too busy, probably because he couldn't justify his position. The 2017 general election, I was invited to the Hayes FM event again. There was no hustings. I went to the Hayes FM event. He turned up 45 minutes late to an event at a radio station where he's the main governor. The first question was asked on the third runway. We all agree on that. It shouldn't go ahead. So I wasn't going to dig him out on that because I actually agree with him on it. The second question was on HS2. He was the first person to answer. Then he cleared off and turned around and said, "Oh, I've got another debate to go to. I'm sorry, bye." And he ran off and avoided the other part of the debate because, again, he doesn't want to discuss it. So the reality is you've got John McDonnell there who runs away from open debate, but, you know, Jacob Rees-Mogg, according to him on the video, is a Conservative, and therefore you should be free to hound him and he shouldn't have any peace wherever he goes. This is the way of the regressive left. They can't debate their points, so they set the hounds on you, and it's absolutely disgusting. And if anybody puts this through to John McDonnell, because he doesn't see any of my social media, because when I've asked him awkward questions he's blocked me, such as why does he support segregated male and female meetings, which the Labour Party do. He blocked me for that because he couldn't answer it. Oh, the party of equality. So if anybody passes this through, I'll tell you what, John, you're talking now, and I saw that rubbish you put out today about, oh well, I don't rule anything in or out on the people's vote. Come on, show some bottle, will you? Come and have a debate in Hayes with your constituents, who, since you've become Shadow Chancellor and your Charlie Big Potatoes, you've ignored. Come on, I'm challenging you now, me or another member of the Leave campaign, because I'm not worthy. I'll put you up against somebody who knows what they're talking about. Let's destroy you on stage. Just as Nigel Farage did on the Daily Mirror online poll during the referendum. Thought you were getting away with that at Trinity Mirror, Remain supporting, Labour paper. Even their own readers, 78% said Nigel Farage had you for breakfast. So come on, you know, rather than telling people to go out and intimidate Tory MPs wherever they see them, let's have a proper debate on Brexit, shall we? And let's put you back in your box. Because the reality is the only reason you back Remain is because you're terrified that the Unite Union will pull your funding. You know, man of principle. Now coming on to the second point today. Article 13 of the Copyright Directive. That was debated again in the EU Parliament today. It was kicked back in July. The MEPs voted against it, which is unusual. They voted against it. So, in typical Brussels tradition, Article 13, they were forced to re-vote on it today and it went through. Article 13 is basically the EU regulating the internet. They will not allow you to post links. The whole idea is that they can turn around and they can block anybody putting stuff up they don't like, and they'll also stop you putting links up if you're doing, say, a critique of the day's news. You can't put a link up to the day's news unless you pay a link tax for it. That is an absolute disgrace. And as I say, it was voted down in July, but in typical EU fashion, if they get a response they don't like, they will then make you vote again. They did it to the Irish on the Lisbon Treaty, but at least they gave them a second vote. The French and the Dutch voted against the EU Constitution, so they renamed it the Lisbon Treaty and didn't give them a vote on it. So today they've pushed this through. It will stop freedom of speech and freedom of ideas on the internet, and it's an absolute it's shocking. The whole idea is just to shut down dissenting voices. And to let you know, Labour and Conservative members of the European Parliament today voted for that. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but you like a meme. I know it's, you know, that's just a little bit of fun. You won't be able to do that now. Not when they implement it. That will be going through next year. You can't put that up. You want to comment on the day's news? You want to put a link up to a clip from a news feed? Forget that. Not allowed to do that either. Not unless you pay for it. Oh, the big news corporations who have been drastically hemorrhaging their customers to online news are going to love this. I can hear Rupert Murdoch. Oh, he's rubbing his hands from here now. He's just, show me the money. Because they've just basically stamped on anybody who wants to go out there and put an alternative view of the news to the one the European Union want put out. It's disgusting. We can't get out of the European Union quick enough. And I would say to anybody out there who is saying about us leaving the European Union in March next year, if this government turns round and keeps Article 13 after Brexit, they are a disgrace. That is one of the first pieces of legislation that must come off the statute book. Anyway, I'll leave you with those to think with for now. I'll pop a couple of links into the description below this video, and please come back and give me your views in the comments below. Thanks very much. Catch you soon.